Hi, it's been a while since my last video, but I thought I would do a little speed paint of a new project I'm working on, a new Webtoon or webcomic, and I'm going at this comic a little differently, or at least I think I might go at it a little differently than I have with Beneath the Camphor Tree, which is my current Webtoon that I'm working on, in that instead of using 3D models primarily for the backgrounds, meaning only using 3D models for the backgrounds, not really drawing any backgrounds myself unless I need to do natural elements or props that the characters are interacting with. That with this new comic that I'm thinking of working on, I will utilize 3D, especially in Blender, but it won't be just straight up 3D renders that I'll be using in the comic. I'll be drawing a lot of it myself. So if I go with this technique, I just wanted to see like how long would it take to do one panel or one scene. And spoiler alert, it took a little while, this not including the 3D modeling for this scene. This little panel took 3 hours to do, partly because I was kind of trying to figure out a style, and partly because it's just, I guess, it takes a while. That's why people use 3D models, I suppose. And so, but it was fun, you know, and I think I like the look. I like the look of the hand-drawn feel, and I wanted it to be a world that is very much from my imagination, and I knew that I probably won't be able to find 3D models, like rendered, textured 3D models that are perfectly exactly how I would like them to be. So I think that it would be best if I kind of created the world myself, and that way it's more immersive. And I also just wanted to see, like, can I even make a comic where I'm drawing almost everything with the help of 3D models, but not relying on them too heavily? So I didn't record doing or modeling the model, like the 3D part of this scene, because I didn't really think of recording my process at that time. It only took about half an hour, really, probably, to model the different elements in this scene. But I think in the future, if I do more speed paints of this process or of my experimentation with this comic, I will try to, if my computer can handle it, record the process of 3D modeling, because I think I'm always interested, as someone who's not very good at 3D modeling, to see what other people do. This world that I'm creating, it's an older story of mine that I've had for quite a few years in my mind, but I haven't actually done anything with it because it's a very big story, and I felt very intimidated by how I was going to do it. And I always thought I would write it out in prose, like as a novel series or as a book series, but I kind of decided on a whim that I wanted to see about turning it into a webcomic, because I think it would lend itself well to the webcomic like storytelling techniques, if I can survive hand drawing all the backgrounds. And so yeah, I don't know, I really enjoyed working on this, and I'm still, you know, I'm going to do a couple more test drawings or test panels, maybe even a test page or episode or two, to see how it would all look in a flow of, you know, sequential storytelling, because I think it's one thing to do a panel or two, it's another thing to do like multiple panels in a row of a storytelling or sequential storytelling. You really kind of get a feel for the style, the way that the drawing style will lend itself to your storytelling techniques, etc. I'm trying not to say so much. I'm very self-conscious when I talk, so I'm trying not to say or like too much, but it is my nature to say those things a lot, so I apologize. But yeah, I don't know, the world that this is based on is sort of pre-medieval Earth, but it's not, it's like it's not quite the same, so I'm not going to be worried about historical accuracy. It's more loosely based on pre-medieval Earth, or sort of like, for example, the country that the story opens up with is based on kind of Mediterranean countries, ancient Greece, ancient Rome, ancient Egypt, etc. A kind of melting pot of cultures, and there's other countries that the story will dive into as the story progresses that are based on other, or loosely based on other countries around the world. And it's just sort of, I don't know, it's sort of, I kind of see it as like an epic fantasy, but low fantasy, because there are magical elements, but it's not like high fantasy. There's no elves or dragons or dwarves or anything like that. It's more, there is magic, but it's very, I don't want to say forbidden, it's just uncommon, I guess. So the story is kind of about magic entering the world and kind of disrupting things. So I'm really excited about it, though. I'm working on reading some books about crafting a good story. That'll be exciting, and I'm hoping to improve my storytelling abilities with this comic, because I feel like with Beneath the Camphor Tree, I haven't quite, I don't know, I don't think Beneath the Camphor Tree is necessarily like an example of the best storytelling. I think it's a fun story, but it's not like a very, I don't know. I didn't really know what I was doing with the comic, so when I started, there are some things that if I had to do it over, I would do it differently. But this comic, I feel like I'm going into it with a little more wisdom, a little more knowledge of webcomic storytelling, and yeah, I'm just excited to do it. But like I said, this country that these characters are from are kind of based off of Mediterranean countries, so you have that sort of ancient Greek, ancient Rome, ancient Egypt kind of inspiration that I'm working with. And there are two of the main characters that are in the comic. There's four primary main characters in the comic that the story centers around, and then there's a cast of side characters. And these are the two of the four main characters. Their designs are going to probably change a little bit by the time I get to actually drawing the comic, because especially the one in the far back that's kind of leaning against the wall, he in particular, I'm not sure if that's how I'm going to draw him in the comic or not, but his basic features are going to be the same. The guy sleeping at the desk that's pretty much solidly how I imagine him in my head, so maybe there'll be some differences. But this was, like I said, this was mainly just a chance to experiment with style, and I wasn't really trying to do anything too perfectly. I was kind of rushing it because I didn't want it to take too long, because that would be a little discouraging, but I wanted it to still look good and look like I put effort into it. So hopefully I achieved that, and here's the final result. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks, and bye.